What's going on, guys? Scar coming at you with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we're going to be diving into a deck that I feel like when we get some new meta, it's a deck that you kind of see pop up here and there. Especially, I feel like whenever you play like more of an aggressive deck, this is kind of like the counter deck to that aggressive deck. And today, that deck is Mono White Devotion. In today's deck, this Mono White deck is pretty much like every other Mono White deck that's always come before it. You gain a bunch of life. You try to get your little Ajani up high enough that it just becomes a big creature and your opponent just has to figure out a way to deal with it. But today we're going to kind of focus on the devotion part, whereas the deck today kind of is going to focus on getting like your Heliod out as a creature, as well as we're going to throw in some Nyx Lotus, just kind of see what goes on there, you know, see if we can get some extra mana, because I mean we get mana equal to the number of devotion we have to the particular color we choose when it comes out on the battlefield. The deck overall is pretty straightforward, like every other mono white deck. It plays things that just have a ton of white devotion to it, so when things come out, you know, either have like a 2 white in their cost, or if they cost 1 white, that's just gonna be only 1 mana. So the goal is just to get a bunch of devotion on the battlefield, hit our opponent, gain some life, get our pride mate up, and hopefully win the game that way, and just overpower our opponents by gaining a bunch of life and then losing a bunch of life. Enough said though, guys. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. But let's dive into the video. So the deck's pretty straightforward. As you can tell, there's the typical cards you would see in a mono white deck. There's a lot of cards, like I said before, that just pretty much have double devotion, triple devotion, or if they cost 1, they cost 1 white. It's not like there's one colorless and a white, but pretty much the deck is pretty straightforward. It plays Owl Seeds to protect anything that we want to protect, like our pride mate. If it starts getting bigger, we can sacrifice this and give it protection for whatever color our opponent's trying to use on it. So we can definitely, you know, either sneak in damage with a giant pride mate and or block something trying to remove a giant pride mate. So definitely a good card, and it also has lifelink, so it helps get the pride mate up even better. So we play this turn 1 and play pride mate turn 2. We can easily get pride mate up to a 3/3 by turn 2 already. Then you got the Giant Killer. This card's pretty good because 1, it's a creature that has 1 white devotion. We can tap 2 and tap target creature. The other ability is that it has a 3 cost instant speed, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. So if our opponent plays anything that's very, very large, we have a way to destroy it. Just in case we come up against maybe someone else who's playing a pride mate, or just someone who plays maybe like a counters deck, we just have a way to deal with something that's much larger at instant speed. So definitely kind of cool to have like a target instant speed destroy card. Healer's Hawk, because yet again it's another solid card. It flies over majority of things that people are playing these days in standard, unless it has reach. So unfortunately, you know, unless they're playing like mono red, you know, Healer's Hawk can get in for some damage without really being blocked, like I said, unless it has reach. Good way, another good thing to play on turn 1, then playing following up with a Johnny's Pride Mate. Definitely very, very solid. Light of Hope is an interesting one here because I think it has a couple solid things in this, just on the ability that 1, it gives us 4 life. So if we really need it, if we're getting kind of low, we can gain 4 life. We can target enchantment. Maybe someone's playing against a deck that is like a Selesnya enchantments, or even the Boggles version of a mono white deck that's kind of running around. We can destroy target enchantment like in all that glitters or something like that we just want to get off the battlefield. And then we can give something +1/+1 if we want to. So a solid 1/1 for 1. So definitely a way to kind of just pump something just to give that little bit of extra. Then you got the Giant's Pride Mate, which is kind of like one of the bread and butter cards of this deck. Get a Giant's Pride Mate on the battlefield, we gain some life. This thing just gets really big really quickly. The downfall is there's not really in a mono white deck to give this trample, so the best thing we can do is sacrifice an Owl Seeds, give protection for the color our opponent's playing, and try to swing in that way. Definitely a good way to kind of, you know, get in damage, but this thing can definitely get out of hand, especially if we go first and we're getting a ton of life every single turn. Then you got the Hushbringer. This is another interesting card just because there's a lot of when things come into the battlefield or leave battlefield triggers. So this like Cat's Oven, things like that. This is a good card to kind of prevent Cat Oven from doing things. Just things that prevent our things triggering when they come into the battlefield. I mean, there's no agent anymore, so it's not like we're gonna worry about agents. But the only downfall is if they play like an Uro or something like that, or one of those guys that, you know, cost really cheap, but they're 6/6 and they have an effect. This is going to pretty much allow them to stay on the battlefield. So it's one of those things we kind of have to worry about if we do play Hushbringer. We have to kind of like look at the deck that our opponent's playing before we really just drop it, because then we have to deal with 6/6. But Hushbringer is a good solid card just in case, like I said, it kind of stops coming to play battle abilities. Angel of Vitality, because it's another life gain deck. Angel of Vitality is a 3 cost 2/2, but if we gain life, we gain that much life +1, so we gain an additional point of life, as well as if we have 25 or more life, it has +2/+2, so it becomes a 4/4 flyer, which is definitely solid. And the bonus point of life is also very good, just to give us more life gain. Then we got Banish and Light, just another spot removal, so we can spot removal something we just don't want on the battlefield, and then, you know, until this leaves the battlefield, their opponent doesn't have control of that card anymore. Getting a Black Base is another interesting one here. One, we can give, it's a creature that has Indestructible, and it's still a Planeswalker, and prevent all damage that we've dealt to him, so we can swing him with him. He won't die if someone blocks it for 4 or more. We can +1, we can give something Vigilance, Lifelink, and or Indestructible, so we can give our Pridemate Indestructible, Lifelink, and or Vigilance if we just want to swing in and kind of leave it open for blocks. And then if we get to 6, we can -6 and we just exile target permanent, our target non-land permanent, so we can get rid of something that maybe we don't want if things start getting out of hand. But overall, a good solid card, just kind of protect some of our things if we decide to swing in for battle. Heliod's Sun Lightcrown, another good solid card here. Just in the basis of, if we have devotion less than 5, it's an enchantment, but whenever we gain life, get a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment we control. So in reality, if he's the only thing on the battlefield, we somehow gain some life, we can definitely put a +1/+1 counter on him. We can, and then we can also tap 2, and we can just give another creature lifelink until end of turn, so we can give something lifelink if we have open mana, just kind of get some additional life gain in. Definitely works good with a Johnny Primate. We give Johnny's Primate if it's really, really large life gain, so we swing in for big damage and we gain big life, so definitely good. Linden's very good too, because yet again, it's a 3-cost, 3 devotion white card, where the fact that it's a vigilance 3/3, and then whenever a white creature we control attacks, we gain 1 life, so pretty much our deck plays white creatures, so whenever they attack, we gain 1 point of life for each of those creatures that are attacking, so pretty much we gain X amount of life, which definitely pumps up Johnny's Primate even before damage is done, so Johnny's Primate can get even bigger before they go to blocks, and then something that they may have to deal with. Overall, with Banner is another fun little add here because of 3-cost creature, or 3-cost artifact that gives us, we get to choose a color, gives our creatures of the chosen color +1/+0, as well as we can now add 1 mana of that chosen color. So we play a turn 3, we can get an additional +1 attack, which definitely can get that extra life gain in, as well as just make our things just that little bit bigger, and then we get to use this for a mana producer later on, so it has some use other than just being a board pump. Then you got a Johnny's Strength of Pride, just another thing that pretty much allows us to gain life equal to the creatures we control plus the number of planeswalkers we control. We can -2, we can create another cat token to pretty much, you know, if we don't have a Pride mate out, this is just another way to get some sort of Pride mate. And we can tab 0 if we have 15 life more than their starting life total. We get to exile this card and each artifact and creature your opponent controls. So pretty much it's a board wipe for only our opponent's creatures, which if our board is very, very large, we then can swing back and pretty much win the game. When we play Elspeth's Sun's Nemesis, just another interesting card here just because all its things are minus, but it has ways of us to either pump creatures we control, we can get tokens in the battlefield if we need some blockers, or we can just -3 and gain some life, worst case scenario, and then later in the game we can always escape it back out and then redo it all over again. It's a 4-cost planeswalker, which is definitely very, very solid. Nyx Lotus is another interesting card because we play a lot of devotion. If we get this on the battlefield and we have a lot of devotion out, this thing can tap for a bunch of mana, which we can use to do various things. Castles of Ardenvale, just because, you know, create some tokens. It's a good white mana producer. We don't play a lot of lands. We only play 23. We got plains, 18 of them, and then we play 1 of the Karn's Bastion because things have counters on them. Might as well let's proliferate. It's kind of interesting card we'll play around with, kind of see how it does. But overall, it's a good solid card to proliferate if we're gonna have a lot of +1/+1 counters. So with all that said, this deck is pretty solid back to front. There are a lot of good cards in this deck that kind of make it work. At the end of this video, I will go over like a list that's maybe a little more budget friendly that you could possibly use to get started off before you maybe start building up to some of these cards. So if you want to stick around to the end of the video, I do appreciate it, and I'll show you the budget deck. But enough of that said, let's go right into the gameplay, watch some games, and see how we do. Alright, so our opponent goes first, and our hand's okay. We don't have any of our heavy hitters per se, but I mean, we have a turn 1, turn 2 if need be, so I think I'm going to keep. Hopefully we'll draw into more. We don't play a lot of lands. I think we only play like 23-ish lands, so, and our opponent did mulligan down to 6, so that's very solid for us. I think we play the bird just in case. It looks like they got some sort of mono red. So either they got to deal with our bird or play something Steamkin, that's fine. I think here we'll play the castle, of course. I'll swing in. I'll seeds here, and then we'll go from there. And then we have the mana open just in case if like they want to target one of our things. Next turn we can either banish and light. I mean, they're probably gonna pump, so I mean there's no point. I see they have something. Regardless of whatever I was gonna do, I knew it was gonna get pumped up one. That's fine. Do they have a draw? They do. So next turn we get to go here, and this is actually where it gets kind of bad for them. Because unless they have something that's instant, we can actually just banish and light their steam can. So I'll take that. And they were upset about it. I think the real question is here, do we get a player that's actually really here? This hand's good. I think we may play Hushbringer. Just because then it gives hello. Blue. They play blue something. So I think Hushbringer's good here. Alright, that's fine. So this is mono blue flash or Azure flash. That's perfectly fine. I think the play here is to probably play the Pride Mate. Because since they're tapped out, and then we'll go in. They block for one, but this is still gonna grow. They could have a bounce, which is a possibility. Linden's really good next turn, if we can get it out. That's perfectly fine. I'll let you get your card. It's very interesting. Linden's good. I think we go with Linden, as much as it doesn't utilize all our mana. That's perfectly fine. We'll still gain a bunch of life. Alright, so they didn't do anything there. That's weird. So they're 15. They can gain 2 life. So they go back up to 17. They can swing in. Maybe they have something? They have a winged word, so they're digging for something. They're digging maybe for an answer. Alright, they're not. Maybe they have something that has flash. I mean, they're getting very aggressive, so they don't have any blocks up at the moment. They probably have a bounce. I think here we play the Pride Mate. They could have a quench. But that's fine. We play a land, we go to 5. We can play the Pride Mate first and see if they counter it. They had to discard. I think we play the castle. Play the second Pride Mate. Alright, so there's nothing. Maybe they have something that untaps and gives up things plus plus. That's the only thing I can think of. If they do that, I think I just swing in for 6 and I'll gain it 1 life. I gain 2. Because my thing is that if I would have attacked in, they have their not winged words, the one that untaps their creatures and gives them +2/+2. I would actually lose cards, and I think it's just better that I leave things open. I mean, you could go for the draw, but that would tap you out. Sovereign Skycat is fine. I mean, the thing is, now that I could just tap with these two. I can gain 4. Oh, I can attack with this, this, and this. This goes up to a 4/4. Alright, that's fine. That's legendary, so that's no big deal. We'll just attack him for 1 again. Right? Well, no, if they... So they gain 7. So there's the thing. So they gain 7. If I attack, attack. So I attack with everything. I think I just attack with everything. I don't think I die on the receiving end. Gain a bunch of life. These all get really, really big. And then I swing in. Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't think it was that complicated, but yeah. I like overcomplicated that. Alright, opponent goes first. I like our hand. I mean, we don't have a Pride Mate, which isn't the worst thing. But I mean, we have a turn 1 Healer's Hawk. We don't have a turn 2. We could draw into a possible turn 2. We got a Heliod and an Angel. And then the Johnny's Pride Mate could get us a Johnny's, you know, Johnny's Pride Mate, pretty much, essentially. So we'll keep. It's a pretty solid. We're just missing one card in the curve. We're playing black and white so far. I'll see what happens. I mean, we gotta look out for cards like Deadweight and stuff. It's possible that they may play stuff like that. They're looking at it, so they're thinking about targeting it. So that's the thing. All right, so they're playing Esper. That's perfectly fine. I mean, I still have ways to gain life. But now I don't have ways to get counters on things, so I'll still attack for 1. I mean, they may have a way to kill it just because, like I said, they're playing Esper. A lot of the Esper decks I've seen are very creature hate heavy. I mean, they may have another thing to make me discard another card. All right, they have counter? I think I play Angel here. Yeah, I think Angel's a smarter play because they may, you know, make them counter that. Get my Linden to myself, so I gain the additional 2 life, or maybe they have something to kill something. That's perfectly fine. See, it's a good thing I guess I didn't play Linden because they had something to kill it. What does this do? Alright. It's fine, you got my bird. Maybe this is Esper Super Friends. Because there's like an Esper Super Friends style deck out there. That, Alright, they're gonna search for a land. Get an additional blue? Oh, okay, additional white. Interesting. I mean, I guess I'll play a cat token, so I'll make a thing so they can either target that Pride Mate.
I know my responsibility. No, I am not.
All right, so yeah, they're Esper Super Friends. So I'm a little behind at the moment.
I hope you said you won this time.
In that essence, but I mean, I could always just, you know, have mana open. So let's just play this. They know I have it, so it's just a matter of time. We'll create a cat token.
Our true strength.
And then we'll say go, because I don't have any other plays. They can get rid of the cat token, because they can exile target converted mana cost 1 or less. If they wanted to. I mean, if they have 2 kill spells here. Yeah. Esper Super Friends is very hand hate, like, heavy.
Am I
Interesting.
dematerializing?
It's a very interesting play, I would say, on their end. Honestly, I mean, they could have a board wipe, I guess, maybe if I play something. Alright. I mean, though, they are out of cards, so there is that. I mean, I guess we play a Heraldic Banner. We'll say white. I mean, I could gain a life, but what does that do me? I can gain a life, but then they bumped this up. They can always minus my Pride Mate. So this is tough. I'm in a weird spot because I just have 2 Pride Mates. They can bounce my Heraldic Banner back. But I guess I just +1 because I don't really feel like wasting another one. Like I could have second Pride Mate. I don't think that was the play. So the problem here is that we're behind in that essence.
Might be a bad idea.
This is 4.
You're not welcome here anymore.
No one has anything. Shark Typhoon. Okay. So they got things. I don't have anything to destroy. I'm actually gonna get rid of this. Make you do something about it. Yeah, we'll do this. Because then they have to minus both next turn if they really, really want to. And I don't think they're gonna want to. I mean, they could, unless they have a board wipe. I guess that's another thing they could do. They're looking at this. Alright, so they have something to make things cost less. Alright, got rid of a Pride Maid. I'm kind of curious what the big play is. I think we go in a swing. And see what happens. I think we're gonna get rid of this if they let us. They got something here. So the one benefit is that they play something to, if they play a spell to make a token. That's fine. Interesting though. Alright, we'll just play that. And then we'll play this. And then we'll say go. I mean, he may minus 5, and I mean, he's gonna gain 5 life, right? Yeah, so he would gain 5, I would lose 5? I mean, you can kill it. That's fine. Alright, so he's gonna get rid of my Johnny. Still fine. He's pretty much tapped out at this point, so I can kind of start picking things off if you wanted to. We're not out of this yet. That's the thing. Alright.
Want something banished? Funny.
That's interesting. We'll get rid of a Johnny just because he pretty much prevents us from playing anything. And then I'll play a Giant Killer. And we'll enter. That's fine. It's not the biggest of deals if we can't do anything. I mean, if our opponent wants to do damage to us, Johnny's gonna come, or Johnny, Teferi's gonna come back next turn for them. Okay, so they minus to play another one? Interesting.
Didn't see a door, so I let myself.
You can get rid of my Giant Killer or my bird.
You better watch your back from here on out.
And another Teferi. Interesting.
Right on schedule. Don't worry, I got this.
Another land. And a Soul Lantern Guide. That's fine. So the only problem is now that they played three cost spells, this actually is ineffective, the just Giant Killer side. So I mean, the really only play here is to play the Giant Killer. I can tap one of the sharks. She can kill one of these. I think I'm just gonna give up just because I'm in a lock. I don't think that's gonna be a game we're gonna win. So we finally get an actual opponent that actually is playing like a real deck, I guess. That's not roping us along, so that's that. I will say our last opponent was probably the one opponent that is very good against us. I like our hand. It's very cost efficient, so I'm gonna keep and get rid of one of the Giant Killers, and I'll keep like this stuff. All right, so it's like a mono red esque. We drew our land, so that's solid. Let's make them deal with the Healer's Hawk if they are playing mono red. They don't have it, so there's that. I honestly feel like I just played this matchup, but this time I'm not on the play, so that's a thing. Yeah. I honestly feel like I legit did the same move, so... It's like, I've done this once before, didn't I? That's fine. Alright. I mean, I think they can be a little sad when I decide to, I'll pass. Like, I legit did the same move yesterday. Or yesterday, like, earlier. Yeah, that's 4 or greater. I think I'm gonna banish the light one. Yeah, we'll just get rid of the bigger one. They can't get rid of the tokens. We'll swing above. Get another one. If I get hit big this time, it's no big deal. This is actually perfectly fine because this actually will help us. We'll get in the way of the no blocks. We'll get in the way of. I'd rather get rid of that. It's fine. We'll play this because now we can get in the front of any of his smaller creatures. And then we'll say go. I mean, he could have an Ember Cleave, which is good for him. I mean, the Annex, I think, was his play into an Ember Cleave. He doesn't like this Giant Killer. He's like, look at what it does it do. I mean, maybe his play is to... Okay, that's perfectly fine. The Bone Crusher. I'll take the 4. I'm not really worried about him gaining life. It's fine, I knew it was coming. I could play a Nyx Lotus, but it comes into play tapped, so we'll just leave it at that. No attacks. Enter. So the thing is, what he'll do here is more than likely is remove the counters. So I could tap down. I could tap down now. Because he could just remove the counters and pump here. So I think we'll do it this way. We'll tap that. Yes, a tap. If he pumps it, that's 10. He could have a burn card. He would have to pay all of this. I'm gonna go with no blocks. Alright, that's fine. Interesting. I guess it doesn't go above... I didn't know it didn't go above 3. I'll make you... You can't actually block it, so I will gain a life. And I'll deal 3 to you. I mean, you can block, but... You can only block with 2. I don't want to attack with these guys because they don't have vigilance. I mean, I could make him have it. Because I could block the runaway. And I could always go over here. I think I'm gonna actually let this one pass because I'm gonna give. That's fine. I'll take 2. Pass to blockers. I will block here. I will block here, and I'll block here. Does protection from red do anything? That's the problem. I think it doesn't. I I could sacrifice and I guess give this protection to see what happens. But I don't think that actually does anything. But I'll just give it protection from red. Wait, what? That's weird. Why didn't it... I guess it doesn't touch it. Huh. Though I could have been at 0 if I gained the 1 life. So, I mean, the Mono White Devotion didn't go 100%. That last game was a little bit rough just because we kind of didn't really draw well, I think, to keep up pressure with what our opponent was doing. I mean, we had some decent plays, but we just couldn't get more gas. I mean, the Lotus is interesting. I don't know if it's something I would choose, actually, now looking at this list. It played a little iffy. I maybe would go with some more bigger threats in the deck, like add in some more Alseeds or some more, you know. The one thing I realize is in here is Daxos is in here. I kind of forgot about Daxos. He's actually in my budget build that I did make. But overall, I think the deck is okay. I think I would add Daxos just because he's a solid body. With the Devotion to White, I think him becoming larger is definitely good for the deck, especially he could eat Embercleave damage, just because if you have a lot of Devotion on the board, he just kind of becomes a big butt. You know, he doesn't really get hit that hard. I like the Heraldic Banners. I like the Elspeths as an idea. The Johnny is always good. I just think that we kind of got stuck against the Esper deck when we had the Johnny out, that we just couldn't really get any momentum just because they had board control in essence, because they had the mana to pretty much keep us off the board, and they had the Planeswalkers to kind of help with that. But like overall, the deck's pretty good. Now, there's a few things I think I could tweak and maybe, you know, spiff up and maybe try again, and probably will work a little bit better. I mean, there's been many iterations of this deck in the course of it existing really in the meta. In a way, I don't think it's a top tier deck, but it's probably like somewhere sitting around like a mid tier deck, like a C tier kind of like thing. If you do the ABC tier, I would say it's probably about a C tier deck. I would say maybe make some adjustments based on what you feel like you're matching up against. Like, also, even though like you can't play the companion like really as effective as you would want to, you can always throw a Loris in the deck itself because it's a 3/2 body, and it pretty much gets our things back from our graveyard onto the battlefield that costs 2 or less. So it's another good way to get some of our cheaper things back, like a Giant Killer or All-Seed's always good to bounce back on the battlefield as a recommendation. The other thing too is if you're in the budget, I did make a budget list. I don't think it included too many rares, if any. I think it's mostly uncommons and commons, but it's pretty much just a life gain deck. The goal is just to gain a whole bunch of life. Everything kind of triggers some sort of life gain in some sort of way. Is it as effective probably as this deck? Probably not in that essence, but we'll take a look at that. We'll kind of break it down, and yeah. So here is the life gain version, like budget style deck. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty much like a white weenie. I just forgot the Castle Ardenvales. You just put in, you know, 4 of those. There we go. Let's get rid of the Bastion. I don't even know if I want the Bastion in the deck, so you probably get remove that even in the main board if you really want. But looking at this, it's pretty straightforward. It's like 4 copies of everything other than Heraldic Banner and the Light's Hope. So we got 4 of the All-Seeds Bounty just to kind of give our creatures protection. You got the Healer's Hawk just to get, again, another cheap thing. It's like this is more of the mono. This is like the White Weenie Devotion style deck, which is very, very solid. I would say the first thing you probably would want to add into this deck would probably be to add in the first thing I would probably add into the deck is probably Heliod. He's just very, very strong. With the way this deck gains life, he'd be easily to be able to distribute +1/+1 counters across your board. So that's just one thing. Light's Hope, we didn't really see it here. It's maybe something we don't even play at all. I really wasn't missing it if I needed it, so that's maybe something I would remove even from the main board. But this is good in this deck because, you know, kind of gives you some utility. Fight as One's also another good solid card here because Fight as One kind of gives target non-human or human creature you control indestructible +1/+1. So definitely a good way to maybe protect something. There's just some other ways that you could also do. You can add in some Fairy Guide Mothers, just another cheap card. Common gives target creature +2/+1 in flying, so you could always throw out a Pridemate and make your Pridemate fly over. So just some interesting things that you could possibly add there for some utility. God's Willing, if you feel like you're just getting your smaller creatures getting targeted by spells, God's Willing will give those creatures protection of a chosen color until end of turn, which is definitely also solid. So Soul Mender is another good card, I would say, in the budget version, just because, you know, he's a way to tap and gain a life for free. So a 1/1 to tap and gain life. The whole deck is to kind of pump up your Pridemate, which, yet again, gets pretty big, it's pretty annoying. Your opponent can't really do with it unless they can directly kill it and or bounce it back to your hand. Then Daxos is another card that whenever another creature enters the battlefield or dies, you gain a life. So it's just a way to gain just additional life points every single time something comes into the battlefield. And like I said before, his toughness gets very, very large depending on your devotion to white. The deck has a decent devotion to white, so that's pretty good. Impassioned Ordinator, another good card, just because whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you control gain 1 life, just like Daxos, just another way to gain life whenever something comes into the battlefield. Angel of Vitality, another good solid card in the way that pretty much whenever we gain life, you gain 1 additional life, which is very, very good to keep yourself alive. And she just becomes stronger as long as you have 24 more life. So +4/+4 in the air for 3 is actually pretty solid. Banish Light just for some little spots removal. Heraldic Banner, just kind of pump your creatures across the board to give them that little bit of extra strength in the front end. So, I mean, overall, this is a pretty good solid budget deck to maybe start with. Maybe work your way in trying to figure out what you like in like the mono white life gain style, if you want to go full devotion, or if you just kind of want to maybe sit back and kind of go more of that, like, you know, mid-rangey kind of game where you maybe have like the Johnnies and stuff like that, and then maybe you add in a few things from my list. The one thing I would play around and see what kind of works for you. I feel like everyone's meta is always different from what I may play and what you may play, so I would say that's just one of those things that, yet again, play with the decks, make adjustments where you think you want to make adjustments, and kind of go from there. But guys, if you like this video, hit that like button. I do appreciate it. If you want to know anything about this or have any questions about the deck, leave them in the comments below. I'll post all these deck lists in the description to give you guys an idea, so you can kind of like copy and paste them into Arena if you just want to kind of give yourself an idea of what to go off of. That link will be in the description below. And if you guys want to know when I post more videos, hit that subscribe button. I will catch you in the next video.